Have you ever felt like you are in a constant cycle of giving love to people who don't deserve it? As if you're stuck in a loop of giving more than you receive, always hoping that someone will finally see your worth. This pattern is not an accident. It is a manifestation of something deeper. Carl Jung discovered that true self-love is not about standing in front of a mirror and repeating affirmations to convince yourself that you are enough. Real self-love is born in the moments when you face your shadow, those hidden parts of yourself that you've buried deep because of fear of judgment, fear of being rejected. Since childhood, we have been conditioned to conceal anything that might make us seem less acceptable. If you were ever told you were too emotional, too intense, or not enough, you likely learned to suppress those parts of yourself. You began to hide your truth, believing it was the only way to be loved or accepted. And yet, those wounds don't simply vanish. They linger, silently shaping the way we relate to others. Jung taught that we attract what we haven't yet healed. So if deep down you feel unworthy of love, you will unconsciously gravitate towards people who mirror that belief back to you. Not because the universe is cruel or punishing you, but because your subconscious is trying to guide you toward what still needs healing. It's as if life is handing you a mirror again and again, showing you the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. That's why so many people find themselves trapped in repetitive cycles, going from one relationship to the next, always hoping for something new, only to end up in the same place with the same pain, wearing a different face, one of the most painful. Patterns is when we try to find in others what we're not giving to ourselves. We wait for someone to come along and make us feel worthy, to validate us, to love us unconditionally. But here's the truth. No one can give you what you are not yet willing to give yourself. The love you receive from the outside world will always be a reflection of the love you carry within. And when you finally start to love yourself in a real, profound way, something shifts. You no longer feel the need to prove your worth to others because you know who you are. You stop begging for affection because you realize that your love isn't something to be bargained for. It's something sacred, something to be shared with those who truly deserve it. At that point, your energy changes. And with that shift, the people who show up in your life begin to change too. Some people who once felt essential may start to drift away. At first, that might feel like a loss, but in truth, it's a cleansing. You're clearing space for people who align with your new vibration, those who see you, who uplift you, who match your frequency. Relationships no longer come from a place of need, but from conscious choice. You no longer surround yourself with those who drain you, but with those who empower you. Still, this process isn't easy. There will be moments when fear creeps in, when you question everything. Did I make the right choice? Was it worth it? And then there's the silence, the loneliness that arrives like a test. But it's in that silence where the real encounter happens, the one with yourself. It's there in that quiet space that you realize you were never truly alone, that you have always been enough, and that the love you were chasing outside was always waiting within. That's the moment where the magic begins. When you release the desperate need to be validated, suddenly you start receiving the recognition you once begged for. When you stop searching for love in the external world, the right people start to enter your life effortlessly, not because you've changed your strategy, but because your entire vibration has shifted. Because when you truly love yourself, only those who are worthy of your light will find their way to you. The relationships we attract are never random. They are mirrors perfectly reflecting the level of consciousness we're living in. If you operate from a mindset of lack, you will find yourself in relationships that reinforce that emptiness. If you carry unresolved wounds, you'll encounter people who press on those exact spots, not to hurt you, but to reveal what still needs healing. Sometimes life brings people into your path who challenge you deeply, who disappoint you, betray you, and make you feel like you're not enough. But if you look beyond the pain, you'll begin to see the truth. They are messengers from your subconscious. They are mirrors reflecting back what you've been unwilling to see within yourself. It's easy to blame them, to point out their flaws, to get stuck in the role of the victim. But Jung would say that true learning happens when you stop and ask yourself, what is this experience trying to teach me about myself? That's where transformation begins. Every person who enters your life is there for a reason. Some come to teach you a lesson, others to challenge your limits. Some arrive to support and inspire you, and some show up simply to reflect what you've outgrown. When you begin to understand this, you stop clinging and forcing things to last when they're meant to end. You stop holding on to people who were only meant to be chapters, not your whole story. You realize that not every relationship is meant to stay forever, but every single one leaves a mark, shaping your process of individuation, the journey. Jung described as becoming your most authentic self. One of the most common mistakes we make is thinking that love is about finding someone who completes us. But real love isn't about filling a void. It's about sharing fullness. It's not about needing someone to make you whole. It's about walking together, side by side, each already whole. That's the difference between relationships that drain you and those that nourish you. In one, you feel like you have to constantly sacrifice parts of yourself just to be loved. In the other, you are simply allowed to be with no effort or struggle. If you've ever felt emotionally exhausted in a relationship, it's time to pause and ask yourself, what part of me is allowing this dynamic? The truth is, no one can make you feel inferior without your permission. No one can walk all over you unless you first ignore your own boundaries and dismiss the red flags. We often stay in relationships that are not good for us, not because we don't know the truth, but because we're afraid of being alone, afraid we won't find anything better. But the real question is, are we choosing from love or from fear? Because when you begin to choose from self-love, everything changes. You no longer accept emotional crumbs or try to convince someone to value you. You stop settling for less than you know you deserve. You finally understand that your energy is sacred, that your light is not meant to be dimmed by those who don't know how to appreciate it. And that's when something extraordinary happens. Jung called it synchronicity. Just when you let go of what isn't aligned with your soul, the universe begins to send you people, situations, and opportunities that are. It's not luck or magic. It's the result of your frequency changing dot. To reach that point, you must go through a deep transformation. You have to face your shadows and confront your deepest fears, those unconscious patterns that have kept you stuck. In painful cycles, healing means releasing control. It means trusting that what you're letting go of was never meant for you and that what is truly yours will come without force. This is where many people stumble. They try to let go, but with fear still in their hearts. They say goodbye to someone but secretly hope that person returns. They claim they're choosing themselves, but deep down they're still waiting to be chosen by someone else. The truth is, the universe doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you feel and what you truly believe deep inside. So when you truly love yourself, when you decide to prioritize your inner peace and your worth, everything starts to shift. You no longer settle for half-hearted love or participate in toxic dynamics that leave you feeling empty. You know love is not about sacrifice. It's about sharing. Real love doesn't shrink you. It expands you. And the right person will never need to be convinced of your value. They'll see it from the very first moment. And when you reach that level of self-love, you stop waiting to be chosen, and you choose yourself. From that moment on, only those who are truly worthy of your light will be able to enter your life. Jung's concept of individuation is not just a journey into self-awareness, it's a complete rebirth. On that path, self-love is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Because only when you embrace every part of yourself, including the broken, the rejected, and the hidden, can you attract relationships that reflect your true worth. It's easy to say, I love myself when everything is going well, but real self-love is tested in the chaos. It's tested when someone walks away and when you are alone with your fears. Many people collapse under the weight of rejection, internalizing it as proof that they're not enough. They cling to what's no longer theirs simply because they're afraid of the unknown. But what if the unknown isn't something to fear? What if it's the space where your true destiny begins? What Jung taught us is that the shadow is not our enemy. It's a teacher. It is the reflection of all that remains unhealed within us. If you've ever wondered why you keep attracting the same kinds of people, the same toxic dynamics, and the same painful problems over and over again, the answer isn't outside of you. It's not a coincidence. It's your unconscious begging to be heard, showing you the same pattern again and again, not to punish you, but to wake you up. Because when you refuse to see the lesson, life will repeat it for you. It might change the scenery or the people involved, but the script will remain the same until you decide to wake up. Until you realize it's not about blaming others. It's about looking within. Self-love isn't just about setting boundaries or walking away from those who don't value you. It's also about asking yourself, why did I ever believe I deserved less than I'm truly worth? To love yourself is to go back to the root of those wounds, to face them with courage, and to make the choice that they will no longer define you. This process is uncomfortable because it requires you to stop seeking validation from the outside world and start giving to yourself what you've always longed to receive from others. But when you do that, when you genuinely begin to treat yourself with the same compassion, respect, and love, everything starts to shift. Those who were only in your life because they could drain your energy will begin to disappear, not because you push them away, but because they simply won't resonate with your energy anymore. The frequency you emit changes. Forced relationships will break apart because love cannot thrive in a place of lack. And suddenly you'll start attracting people who reflect your new level of self-love. This is where Jung's most powerful concept comes into play: synchronicity. It's not that the universe magically rewards you. It's that when you heal, your vibration changes, and with it, the experiences you draw into your life shift completely. The love you once chased so desperately now arrives effortlessly, because now at last you are a reflection of what you truly deserve. The question is, are you ready to let go of what no longer belongs to you? Are you ready to stop waiting for someone else to make you feel worthy and start recognizing your own value? The answer has always been within you. It was never about the other person or the relationship that didn't work out. It was always about you. When you finally understand this, when you choose to love yourself without conditions, without fear, life responds in the only way it can. It shows you that you never needed to look outside for what has always lived inside of you. Real transformation begins the moment you decide to stop betraying yourself. When you choose your own well-being above any fear. When you realize that the only person who can truly rescue you is you. Jung once said, "What you most need will be found where you least want to look." The real obstacle has never been other people or a lack of opportunities. The real issue has always been the deep resistance to seeing what's truly going on inside you. If you've ever found yourself trapped in a relationship that drains your spirit, if you've ever given your all and felt like you were receiving breadcrumbs, if you've ever felt invisible, then you need to understand something important. It is not your job to convince anyone to value you. You are not here to prove your worth. You are here to shine boldly and unapologetically with the light that already belongs to you. The greatest barrier to that transformation is the fear of letting go. We'd rather stay in the safety of empty relationships than confront the silence of solitude. But what we don't realize is that this solitude we fear so much is actually sacred. It's where real self-love is born. It's where you discover that the peace you've been desperately searching for in other people was always within you. Once you arrive at that realization, you no longer settle for half-hearted connections. You no longer feel the need to fill your emptiness with people who subtract instead of add. And that's when life begins to respond to you differently. When you truly love yourself, you stop chasing. What's meant for you arrives effortlessly. Relationships stop being about fear and start being about joy. You're no longer tangled in games of control. People who once felt indispensable suddenly seem irrelevant because you've grown. You now understand that endings don't always mean failure. Sometimes they are the very blessings your soul has been asking for. There is a profound difference between wanting something and being ready to receive. You might crave a healthy relationship, but if you still believe you're unworthy, it will never arrive. Life gives you what you're prepared to hold. If you've ever asked yourself, why do I keep finding myself in the same painful patterns? The answer is simple. There is still something within you that needs to evolve. And the day you finally decide to let go, to choose peace over fear, that's the day everything will begin to transform. The love you seek, the wholeness you crave, they've been there all along. They've just been waiting for you to believe you deserve them. Life isn't about chasing after what you lack. It's about becoming the version of yourself who naturally attracts all that is meant for you. But if you keep holding on to what hurts, you're sending a message to the universe that you don't believe. You're worthy of more. This message is rarely verbal. It's what you do. It's the silent scream in your choices. But you have the power to choose what you allow into your life. And in that choice lies your freedom. When you no longer chase, no longer beg, no longer settle, you begin to rise. You become magnetic, not because you're seeking love, but because you've become love. You stop running toward happiness because now happiness runs toward you. You were never broken, only buried under layers of fear and pain. And once you remember who you are, you will never again forget your worth. Jung once said that destiny isn't something written in the stars. It's something we shape moment by moment through the decisions we make. The truth is, the right people don't arrive when you desperately need them to. They come when you've learned how to be okay on your own. They come when you stop begging for love because you've realized that true abundance comes from knowing you don't need anyone else to feel whole. When you reach this level of self-awareness, everything begins to align. The unnecessary drama fades away, and the opportunities that once felt unreachable suddenly come to you effortlessly. Energy doesn't lie. You can say you love yourself, but if you continue to tolerate what doesn't serve you, the universe will respond to that contradiction. You might say you're looking for a healthy relationship, but if you keep accepting half love, that's exactly what you'll keep receiving. Because the outer world will always mirror your inner world. That's why so many people feel like love is a constant battle. It's not a coincidence, it's a pattern. And patterns don't break by themselves. They break when you make them conscious and choose differently. Everything shifts the moment you stop begging for love. The moment you realize your energy is sacred, that not just anyone deserves access to it, is the moment your life begins to transform. When you truly love yourself, you don't need to prove anything. You don't chase, you don't cling, and you don't try to convince anyone of your worth. You simply are. And when you stand confidently in your own light, only those who are ready to meet you in your truth will stay. When you align with your truth, everything that doesn't resonate with it starts to fall apart. At first, it might feel like chaos, but Jung taught us that chaos is a necessary part of transformation. Before something new can be born, the old must die. This is where most people resist. They try to hold on to things that no longer belong in their lives because the mind fears emptiness and the unknown. But the truth is, only when you let go without fear does space open up for something new, something better, something aligned. Love isn't a war. It's not a test, and it's not a prize you earn by proving your worth. Real love just is. If you have to force something to work, that's not love. That's fear. The relationships that are meant to stay in your life, they flow. They don't create anxiety or make you doubt yourself. If you find yourself constantly needing to prove your value, you need to ask yourself a powerful question. Am I choosing this from love or from fear? So many people confuse love with dependence. But here's the paradox. Freedom is the foundation of real love. When you really love yourself, you stop tolerating what you once accepted. You finally understood that love is never something to be begged for. It's not to be earned or chased. Love is felt. Love is lived. Love is given freely and received effortlessly. And that's when life starts to surprise you. When you stop looking outside for something that has always lived inside you, the universe responds by realigning your reality to match your new vibration. The right people begin to appear, not because they didn't exist before, but because now you're finally able to recognize them. Because now, deep within, you know you deserve something different. The love you've been searching for was never in someone else. It was always inside you. Once you return to yourself, when you make your happiness and self-love non-negotiable, the world you once knew begins to shift. You stop fearing the loss of others because you understand anyone truly meant to be in your life will never require force. You stop trying to prove your worth because you know that anyone who can't see it doesn't deserve your energy. You stop accepting less than you deserve because you finally learned how to give yourself everything you once begged for from others. Jung said that projection is the key to understanding our reality. Everything you see outside of you, everything you experience in your relationships, is a mirror of what's happening inside you. That's why when you raise your level of self-love, everything around you transforms. Love is no longer a power game. It becomes effortless, natural, something that simply happens. You were never broken or incomplete. You were always enough. Self-love isn't just about walking away from those who don't value you. It's about remembering who you are. Because when you truly love yourself, when you hold your own light without doubt, only those who are ready to stand in it with you will remain. If this message resonated with you, I want you to share this video with someone who needs it, someone who is stuck in a cycle of relationships that don't bring them happiness, someone who still hasn't discovered their true worth. Because when you share this kind of knowledge, you're not just passing along a video, you're helping someone wake up. You're planting a seed of awareness, a spark of transformation. Leave me a comment down below. I truly want to know what part of this message spoke to your heart. What decision are you ready to make today to change your life? Your words have the power to inspire others who are also walking this path of inner transformation. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell. Here we talk about what truly matters, about the things that transform and awaken your soul. Every time you interact with this content, you're helping others find their light too. You're part of a movement that's bigger than yourself, helping build a community based on growth, truth, and authenticity. Real change always starts within. The life you dream of is closer than you think, but you have to dare to take that first step. I'll see you in the next video.